Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the Seven Deadly Sins Season 3 and the Seven Deadly Sins movie Prisoners of the Sky. And I really enjoyed both of these. I am glad that they did a kind of full season. I only say that because of, even though we had pretty much 24 episodes, it just, it felt like there was more story, and I'm like, where's more of it? Where is it? That's that's pretty much my biggest gripe with season 3. I'm like, but it's not over. I mean, they ended it at a pretty good spot, and I applaud them for that. It's just, I'm like, okay, we're season 4 now. And the movie works pretty well on its own. So, with the season, we continued off of the kind of, even though it says it's a season 2, I consider it more of a bridge OVA kind of thing, where Hendrickson had released the seal and the Ten Commandments are loose in Britannia. And I really liked that he was a contributing cast member in this season. We see him going through and understand more of his and Dreyfus's motivations, because Dreyfus, that's another good one. Their whole relationship with Fraudrin, the demon, possessing Dreyfus and pretty much forcing him to do all these things, kill the former head of the Holy Knights, and do this plot to unleash the demon race, and how Hendrickson wants to make amends for everything that he's done, but everyone doesn't really trust him at first. And it really made for some good character development for him, and just character interactions going on throughout, because he's a very powerful Holy Knight. And he's tied with the Druids and everything, which are going to be a powerful kind of force since they're linked with the goddess race against the demons. And Dreyfus and him being possessed and everything, it just worked really well with that dynamic of being a part of the story. But the overall arch of the Ten Commandments and how they wanted to get revenge on Meliodas and take out everything, because it's not as clear cut as we are the demons, wahaha. There was some treaty between them and the goddess race that was then undone, and Meliodas was an important part of that. And we learned that he was a Ten Commandment, and that he was in line to take over for the Demon King, because he's one of the sons. And we get into each different kind of sin's background even more, and one of the cool additions, we get the seventh sin, Escanor, and I love how he's essentially a Hulk character, because he is like the strongest, barring Meliodas when he gets his full power kind of back. But he's tied with the sun and with his curse, and he just powers up and everything, and he's just a real fun character to watch, and especially seeing that he has he really is in love with Merlin and their kind of relationship. It's just a really kind of other cool dimension that we're seeing throughout the cast, with the fights going on. God, it's crazy. We then even get more information on what's going on with Gother, because partway through the season we find out that he was actually a commandment as well, and that his was selflessness, and that he had screwed up his commandment and got taken by it. And we see that each commandment has certain ones like benevolence, piety, truth. The one that has done with truth, I really like how effective that was. It was showing him fighting Escanor, and it's like, okay, essentially it's Rochambeau. I hit you as hard as I can, and then if I survive, I hit you as hard as I can, and we'll see who dies. And of course, Escanor wasn't killed, and Galland was almost killed, and he tries to run away, and that goes against his truth, and he got freaking stoned up and destroyed, affected by his own commandments. Holy crap, I really like that effect. And a great funny through line going through is power levels, and how Hawk thinks he's the most powerful one, and that's not the case at all. Merlin was just pretty much humoring the pig. And we see them just trying to go through. We see at the beginning that they're not strong enough to take on the Ten Commandments, and they begin a kind of truncated course of trying to get their power levels up. Meliodas goes to get his power rank increased, and to do that he has to relive certain memories, and we see his old girlfriend, Liz. We find out that Elizabeth is her reincarnation, and that at a certain point, Merlin had sealed away Meliodas' power because of how strong it was, because the first time he unleashed all of his power and destroyed Danafalls, because that's when Liz dies. Holy crap. But he's able to get his power back and get more in line with the Ten Commandments. They get sucked into this whole kind of tournament battle, which was pretty fun. And Bond gets back into effect with that, and we see that Elaine gets resurrected, and that unleashes a whole hell of a lot of problems as well, because she's at first she's taken over by her regrets, because this demon decides to bring back certain souls just to create havoc and chaos and everything. It's like, holy crap, that ain't good. But Bond is able to help her become more or less back to her usual self, and she's in the tournament, and Elizabeth and Diane. The one other kind of gripe I have is that when Gothar was acting like an asshole in the beginning of the season, he decides to then mess with Diane's memories again, and we're like, okay, we kind of already got that in the previous seasons, and she just kind of got that back. I'm like, I kind of wish that it hadn't went that way, but it's not so bad. I'm like, okay, retread, but it's not exactly retread, because Gothar was behind the memory loss this time, and it's actually pertinent to both characters. So I kind of wash it out. And her trainer for the giant race was brought in. I really liked how they just kind of took each character and kind of gave them their own kind of little arcs, and it didn't feel useless. We see Bond with the resurrected Elaine, with his old adopted father. We see Diane reconnecting with the giants. We see King reconnecting with the fairies and all that stuff, and how that affects them going up against the Ten Commandments. But see, the thing is, it culminates with Meliodas pretty much going up against 2 of the Ten Commandments, but then the rest of them get there, and he is killed. And it gets into the effect that he's actually cursed, as we learn, and that he will be brought back to life, but he's brought back differently. Especially we see that at the end of the season, as he mercilessly kills Fraudrin and saves Dreyfus and the rest of the kingdom from that part, at least. We also see that there's something going on with Merlin as well, as she's a daughter of someone that like freaks out certain demons, and she's able to capture one in a bottle. So we get one of the Ten Commandments taken out permanently. We see one captured. We see that Merlin's got some kind of connections to the demons, and Meliodas is deathly afraid of who he is, because he's lost his emotions. He's going more to being who he used to be, and he doesn't like that. But yet he's afraid that if he isn't like that, he won't be able to protect Elizabeth as much. And we see the Sins trying to kind of come to the terms with that at the end, as they're trying to figure out how to go after the rest of the not 7 deadly sins, go after the 10 Commandments, since they've taken over Camelot. And Arthur has a cat on his head that will protect him from dying, kind of messing around with Excalibur's properties with the scabbard. And it can evidently talk, but we're not given much left on that. So it ends at a point that it doesn't seem like it's going to be complete crap, like, cliffhanger! We reached a plateau in the current fighting arc, and now we have to wait for the next season, and that's my biggest gripe. They did a really good job of the fight scenes and how awesome and dynamic they were, while also giving us a good amount of character development. And I'm just like, more please. I immediately finished it, and I'm like, looking up, any info on season 4? Not yet. Damn. Ugh. So, that then leaves us with the Prisoners of the Sky movie. And this wasn't a bad movie. It's just really very simple. We find out that there's this group of descendants of the goddess race, the Celestials, and one of them is like escapes from his world. We see that the Sins are trying to get all these ingredients to make this really good meal for the king's birthday. Now, granted, I don't think this is canon, because all the 7 deadly sins are together, and Escanor wasn't really with any of them until the 10 Commandments and everything were going on, and it just doesn't really work to what's going on during season 3 with this. So I just think this is its own self-contained story, which works pretty well. So one of the Celestials, Soledad, has escaped because he wants to try and find this creature that is supposed to help them take out the demons, because they evidently have demons that are sealed and the time of ruin's coming, and he wants to find that to effectively end it, because they just think that the demons are going to come back. And while he does this, Meliodas and Hawk get sucked up in there, and we get this whole thing of case of mistakes in identity between the two. And that's because Meliodas really looks like Soledad, and Soledad really looks like Meliodas, and they both have love interests that look the same. And it's like, okay, we learn a little bit about the Celestials, and that they're pretty much just descendants. They worship this creature that gave them this winged sword that's supposed to help them defeat the demons and everything, and Soledad's supposed to become that warrior and use it to defeat the demons and everything, and that's about it. Then it's just kind of like figuring out what's going on. We get the 7 Deadly Sins to group up, and then the demons have come out at that point, and we just get some pretty cool fight scenes that are showing each character's strengths and all that, and pretty good comedic elements. And we find out that the leader of these demon knights was screwed over by Meliodas because he wanted to be in the 10 Commandments, but Meliodas was like, you just really want to be in the 10 Commandments way too much, so you're not going to be in the 10 Commandments. And that was a pretty fun fight, but afterwards, all of the demons are pretty much defeated and power up this giant demon thing, and Soledad uses all the power that the Celestials have. They kind of essentially give him a spirit bomb kind of caging effect, and Meliodas and the rest of the Sins kind of use all their powers to do a 7 Deadly Sins attack, which I hope is at some point utilized in the actual anime, because it was actually pretty cool how Meliodas used his treasure to essentially do Shadow Clone Jutsu, and full countered everybody else's really powerful attacks back at him, and then he full countered that back to help seal the demon. So it's not really a deep story. It's entertaining for anybody that really is into the 7 Deadly Sins and really just wants a lot of action. It's not really there's not a lot of character depth or development done throughout it, but there's a lot of character comedy. Like, certain characters act in certain ways, and we get funny kind of things going on with it. Oh, and also, Hawk's mom, who has the boar hat on her, she was pivotal and the person that they were worshiping and needed, because the giant demon that was resurrected let off this giant blast. She ate it and then threw it back at him like, eat that. So, if you're really into it, I would definitely recommend watching it. If you're really into just action scenes, it does take a little bit to get more into the action portion. It doesn't really happen till the end of it. So if you're not really into either of those, I wouldn't really recommend watching it, because it really doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the main series at the moment. And it's okay. Now, if you're really into it, the season 3 is really worth it. Even if, I would recommend watching the first 2, the first and the bridge season, but definitely worth it. And it just did a really good job of just capturing my interest, being like, my biggest complaint is I would like another season. I just felt like, oh god, the story's not over yet. This really should have been like 50 episodes maybe, and just like done it and be like, oh, alright, then what's next? But I don't mind this. This is usually how the arcs usually go. I'm just glad that they ended the arc in a way that wasn't completely like, find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, no. I'm like, okay, this is the peace point for this arc. I can wait. So those are my opinions on the season and the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.